All right, guys, we're processing deer this week. I do it mostly here outside. This may not be the fastest way. It may not be the way most processors do it or the way you see it done, but I sometimes have to just utilize what we have.
Last day of the season, loading up deer.
Gonna try to fit 3 more on there. 4 more, actually. We got 5 total. I use this pull method because it's less hairy and dirty than most skinning methods. I also do some in the field and other ways to do it, but this is the way we do it here at the house. We're going to walk you guys through our day of processing. I don't think we're going to fit all 5. So the first thing I do is I split this leg. All of your cuts when you're skinning, if you're making a fresh cut, it should be from the inside out. If you notice, there's no hair billowing around. Demonstrate here just a second what'll happen if you cut the other way. You see all this hair blowing around? If you cut from this side, you get a lot of hair on your meat. So you should always be zippering from the inside out. All the way up the neck here. All the way up here, just about to your rope that's holding it. And then you're gonna go around the neck. This deer has actually been in a cooler for a week. It's been aging in a cooler. Colt is running to get me a knife blade. This is a little bit dull. It's already done 2 deer and it needs replacement. These are Havlons. I really like them. You gotta be careful with them. They'll cut you fast. They're a surgical steel blade that's replaceable. The nice part though is that for $1 I can replace out my blade. I think they're just less than $1. Like actually I think they're 50 cents. Make sure that you don't cut too deep in this neck because we're depending on this meat and muscle in the neck to hold our deer up in a few minutes. So don't cut deep into this meat up here. This is getting this started down a little bit. This knife is sharp. Go a little slower. That's what you want. Douglas, get. Go. Go on, boy. Here where you're getting started, you'll see there's some hair. This can be all picked off. But if you go all the way down the deer this way, you will a lot more likely get more hair on the meat than if you do the pull, what we're fixing to do here in just a second.
So you're just going all the way around?
Yep.
At the top?
You gotta get just a good start. If I was trying to save this hide, I would be going slower and trying to separate the meat from the hide more and the fat and not put any cuts into the hide. I am not saving the hide. All we do is feed it to the coyotes in order to catch them. If you aren't going to use the pull method that we're fixing to use here, you would actually do this on both legs. You'd bring these up and split it up. Both legs, before you started skinning, you would split this up and you'd peel all this down, and it makes it a lot easier to peel it off the legs and such. Find about 1.5 inches to 1 inch in diameter rock. You're going to tuck it into this hide here, kind of get it where you can get a good grip around it. And then you're going to take your rope, go around that, tie a slip knot so that it will tighten on the other rope as such. And it should look like that, nicely ballooned. All right, so if you did not have a front end loader, skid steer, tractor, etc., then you would tie the deer, hang it like you normally would from a beam post in your barn, side shed, garage. Make sure it's solid enough to hold a lot more than just a deer because you're going to be pulling with a ATV or a vehicle, and you want to have your small rope on the bottom, a bigger rope on top in case that something would break. It'd be on the low side, not the high side, and you're going to use the vehicle to pull away from the hang instead of right now we're pulling away from the base of the tree with a front end loader. So opposite pull effect.
So that's an example why you want your bottom rope to be thinner than your top rope, because if it breaks, your bottom rope will break and you won't lose all your rope.
It's good to get off. It's good to get off and cut a little bit just to make sure that it's not in a bind, because this hide can sometimes get in a bind. This one is actually pulling a little bit harder because it's actually been aging in a cooler for 7 days. When they're fresh, they actually skin a lot easier than when they're been aging. And you can age them either way, skin or unskin. I usually don't skin them until I'm done aging. All right, I think we're good. Don't pop on me. Alright, so here. Right now I created a sleeve here. Now that I'm past the meat, I can cut this skin and it's fixing to, you can see the hair fell down and away. I use a saw on these. Cut those on the joint with a knife if you don't have a saw. If you cut right in the center of this joint all the way around lightly, you can bend it backwards and break it off, and I'll show you on one later. I like my front end loader because now I can walk it right over to my door and be just back and forth from my table. If you're doing it outside, you can set your white table wherever you're at and you can work it up on a nice folding table right outside. The main reason for using this method is to keep it cleaner. I can skin almost as fast by hand, not quite as fast, but it's a lot dirtier. You get a lot more hair, you're actually touching the meat a lot more as well, and you're touching the skin, so you're getting dirt in there. This deer is actually shot. I'm gonna take this second to show you guys. This deer was shot with a bow, and this is the entrance wound, and this is the exit wound, and actually this might be the entrance, this is the exit, I think. But it doesn't have any of the shock wave. There's very little wasted meat. If you shoot it with a gun, I've discovered, because of shooting so many with archery, I've discovered that I enjoy cleaning them a whole lot more. There's a whole lot less trauma to your meat. The shock wave of this bullet would leave a blood mass about this large on both sides, wherever you hit with a bullet.